This is yesterday before the fight started. Breaking: U.S. State Department issues security alert in the Middle East and North Africa region, urging U.S. citizens to exercise increased caution amid Iran-Israel tensions. Clearly, as we should, America had some inkling something was about to happen. We had an inkling. In fact, I suspect we had far more than an inkling. I suspect that Israel informed us, at least in broad details, that an attack was going to happen. We'll see more in that in a moment. My good buddy Jack Posobiec, former Navy intelligence officer, now runs his own media empire. There's a measure called the Pentagon Pizza Report that tracks orders from takeout pizza joints around the Capitol and around the Pentagon. This is around the Pentagon. Pizza orders around 7 p.m. Eastern time yesterday. And the red is the spike over the norm in pizza orders. And of course, the reason this is tracked is it's supposed to be a reflection of some substantial upgrade in a national security concern. This peak occurred just 1 hour before the strike. Again, suggesting that lots of people in the American government had some awareness that this was coming. Trump was asked how imminent he feels the attack is going to be. Again, this is just before the attack kicked off. Let's hear what Trump had to say about this.
Mr. President, how imminent is an Israeli strike on Iran?
Well, I don't want to say imminent, but it looks like it's something that could very well happen. Look, it's very simple, not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do whatever is necessary. You know, I stopped a war between India and Pakistan. And I stopped it with trade. I don't think I've ever seen a story written about it, but it was pretty cool. They were getting ready. Pakistan was their turn to hit, and eventually they're going to go nuclear. And I stopped it. I called each. I respect each leader greatly. I know them. And I spoke to them, and I talked about trade. I said, but you're not trading with us if you're going to go to war, if you're going to start throwing nuclear weapons around. And I said it to both of them, and they were both unbelievable, actually. They understood it exactly. They stopped. I stopped that war with phone calls and trade. And India's here right now negotiating a trade deal, and Pakistan's coming, I think, next week. And I'm very proud of that. Nobody died. Nobody...
All right, so he's talking there about the Indian-Pakistan war. But I do want to point something out that Trump's talking about here, because this is a pattern of his diplomatic approach to hostile nations and their leaders. Trump's practice here, it's part of his negotiation style when it comes to international affairs with nations hostile to the U.S., is he's very tough on the nation's hostile policies, but he's very kind to the actual human leaders. He does this with North Korea. He does this with other nations, with Russia. If he doesn't like what they're doing, he's explicit. There'll be sanctions. There'll be all kinds of stuff. But when he refers to their leaders, he refers to them, not always, of course. Sometimes they're Rocket Man when he wants to make a point. But generally, he refers to them in a positive way. He wants a positive relationship with them on a personal level, because that's the only way to get to a solution. If you're just spitting in the other person's face, you can never get to any kind of solution. That was Biden's approach, right? Sanctions, hostile, dictator. Trump's approach is very different. And he just described it when he described it with Iran. He says, listen, I'll work with Iran. They just can't have nuclear weapons, but I'll work with them. We'll trade with them. We'll make them very successful. That is ought to be a winning diplomatic approach. And one of the reasons it has not been with Iran is, I believe, because Iran has been governed for decades by extremists, by extreme hardliners who are not open to reason. Did you know that in all 50 states, self-defense law, not gun law, but self-defense law, uses a simple 5-element test to see if your use of defensive force was legally justified? And that same test applies no matter what state you're in or what tool you use to defend yourself. If you're missing even one of those required elements, however, you've made yourself an easy conviction for an aggressive prosecutor. My name is attorney Andrew Branca, and I've worked more than 30 years as a self-defense attorney. Every state has seemingly endless, complex pages of laws regarding self-defense, so complex that many top criminal defense attorneys rely on my expert analysis to help win self-defense cases for their clients. If the legal code is that complex for lawyers, how can a citizen gun owner expect to know or even follow the law, especially when a life or death situation has triggered a massive, adrenaline-fueled mandate to make that fight or flight decision right now? It seems daunting. Yet I created a simple but powerful framework that has allowed me to serve the legal community and countless American gun owners to simplify this legal complexity into just 5 elements of self-defense law. And you can learn my 5-element legal algorithm I use to consult on and win with the top criminal defense attorneys all over the country to protect law-abiding gun-owning citizens from making innocent legal missteps that land them in prison. Now, with a simple read or listen, you can install my 5-point legal framework so it acts as a sort of muscle memory defense to protect you from losing your rights when you choose to defend innocent human life. Click below to get the latest edition of my book, The Law of Self-Defense Principles, for free. I ask only that you help cover the shipping and handling cost to get the book to you. Now, that may have changed in the last 24 hours. Here's a statement from Marco Rubio. Right as the attacks are taking place, tonight Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We're not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interest or personnel. Now, I'll just, first of all, point out in passing that it's notable that Marco Rubio does not feel obliged to say, let me be clear, Israel should not target U.S. interest or personnel. He's cautioning Iran not to do that. And by all appearances, America is not taking an affirmative, offensive role in any of these attacks on Iran. Now, to what extent we're providing Israel with support in the background, intelligence, some kind of logistics, I wouldn't know about any of that. But no, offensive U.S. military troops appear to be involved in this. We know that NBC, of course, to the extent you can trust them, President Trump's national security team was monitoring the attacks in real time. Again, an indication we had some kind of heads up about this. Another thing I want to point out is, someone asked in the chat, is Israel in the right about this? I don't care. I don't care. I don't think either nation is 100% in the right or 100%. They're all acting out of their own national interest. I have no control over what Israel does or over what Iran does. They're going to do what they're going to do. There's no moral goddess that's going to drop from the sky and make a ruling that everyone will say, well, that's just the way it is then. This is not the unelected black robe tyrannical inferior district trial court judge system where somebody comes down and just says, you're right, you're wrong. They're all going to act out of their own national interest. By the way, there's lots of stuff from Israel, lots of Netanyahu is on the internet and a general from the IDF is on the internet, and they're all talking about their justifications they believe for all this stuff. Listen, it's all propaganda. I'm not going to share much of that because it is all propaganda, but that doesn't change anything. They're all going to act out of their own national interest, and America needs to act in its national interest. From my perspective, it's very straightforward. Dana Bash says, I spoke with Donald Trump on the phone. The president told me the U.S. supports Israel and called the strikes in Iran last night a very successful attack. So clearly, we're supportive of Israel as a matter of national policy. President Trump says, we, of course, support Israel, obviously, and supported it like nobody has ever supported it. Iran should have listened to me when I said, I gave them, I don't know if you know this, but I gave them a 60-day warning, and today is day 61, ironically enough, Friday the 13th. They should now come to the table to make a deal before it's too late. It will be too late for them. The people I was dealing with are dead, the hardliners. the president said. He will not specify which people he's referring to, but by all reports, there's a lot. This was a decapitation strike on Iran, apparently an effective one. As if this was the result of Israel's attack last night, President Trump, this is classic Trump. He says, well, they didn't die of the flu. They didn't die of COVID. Reports, U.S. told Israel it will not provide offensive support for the Iran strike. And I'm all in favor of that. I don't want the U.S. military involved, certainly offensively, in any part of this at all. The IDF says the Iranians have developed a plan to destroy the state of Israel by using widespread and precise fire from the entire Iranian axis, a ground invasion using pickup trucks from all borders and undermining the regimes in Jordan and Egypt. We are in a strategic window of opportunity. We have reached a point of no return. There is no choice but to act now. And of course, I guess that could all be lies. But it's not like Iran is not relentlessly threatening to eradicate Israel off the face of the earth. So given those threats and the apparent capabilities they're developing, would that not be a realistic threat? And that's an assessment that could be made without having an emotional commitment to either side, just objectively looking at their statements and what they're doing. I don't think it's irrational. Even if you hate Israel, it's hard to say that their concerns about Iran are irrational. They're not irrational. Iran threatens to eradicate Israel with fire from the face of the earth, and they're developing nuclear weapons. How would that be an irrational concern? And other weapons. J.D. Vance shares a statement from Trump here. I gave Iran a chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest words to just do it, but no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close I got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told, that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and will only get worse. There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make the slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it is all too late. God bless you all. And by the way, I'm of an age where I remember Iran before the fundamentalists took over. It was practically a Western nation. They had muscle cars. They had mini skirts. It was amazing. And then the moment the fundamentalists took over, it was all burqas again. Iran doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Trump again. Today is day 61. Oh, that's not him talking. That's somebody else talking. The definition of F around and F out, find out. 2 months ago, Trump says, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. I told them what to do, but they just couldn't get there. Now they have perhaps a second chance. And this again, Donald Trump just told Fox News that unfortunately, some of Iran's leaders won't be returning to the negotiation table. Thanks for watching this highlight segment of our full-length Law of Self-Defense live stream. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to give us a like and subscribe for more expert analysis on politics, law, and how to be hard to convict. And to watch the full-length episode of this show, just click right here. Stay safe.